Jealousy can become dangerous. There's a difference between jealous feelings and jealous behaviors. Jealous behaviors can be snooping through a phone. It can be constantly asking your partner information that is beyond a boundary that you have with your partner. And it can even lead to violence, or, for example, the O.J. Simpson case, it can lead to death.
Hey everyone, what's up? So today's story is one that hasn't been covered much by social media, but I think it's important to tell because there were a lot of red flags leading up to the death of Amie Harwick, and maybe you are in a similar situation as Amie, so hopefully this cautionary tale is a sign to someone out there to get out of a bad situation before it's too late. So this story ends in the Hollywood Hills, but Amie Harwick was born May 20th, 1981. She was briefly in foster care before being adopted by a family in Sellersville, Pennsylvania, an area with about 4,000 people. When it was time for college, Amie moved out to Los Angeles to attend Pepperdine University. Amie had to pay her way through college, so she worked multiple jobs. She was a go-go dancer, a fire eater, a photographer, and model, making it all the way to Playboy magazine. It was on one of her modeling gigs that she met Gareth Purse, a software engineer slash inventor slash comedian. His comedy was, well, it was interesting.
So, back to popular. So over the summer, Trump yanked all the troops out of Syria, right? And then ISIS got loose. They're knocking on doors, running away, or something like that. I don't know really how it works. And I thought he should have asked Tony that it's a bad idea because he has broke the bank relying on the pull-out method. Anyway, so I have bad news for the entertainers over there. Okay. I have bad news for the entertainers over there. The best day of your career is going to be the days after you die, when like paintings skyrocket in price. Can I continue? It's close.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The paintings skyrocket in price.
At the beginning of their relationship, Amie and Gareth got along great. Gareth was super infatuated with her, always taking pictures of her. And friends say this was exactly the kind of guy Amie was looking for, someone who wouldn't cheat on her or break her heart. He didn't break her heart, but he probably broke some bones. Amie documented her abuse as Gareth choked her and punched her. A friend remembers an incident where Gareth hit Amie and bashed her head into the floor. Of course, after hurting her, he would always say he was sorry and he loved her. Amie finally ended the relationship in 2012, but Gareth did not take the breakup well. He used a mutual friend to keep tabs on where she was at and to send her love songs and pictures.
Whenever she'd apply to jobs, somehow Gareth would know and then would send the employer these nude photos of her. And I know she had lost multiple jobs because of it.
Amie was determined to move on, though. She continued her education, getting a bachelor's in psychology and master's in arts. She also dated other men, including briefly Marilyn Manson, who Amie idolized when she was younger. Gareth was always looming in the background, though. Almost 4 years after their breakup, someone broke into Amie's house, stealing her photo albums and wiping her computer. Amie knew it was Gareth, but she couldn't prove it. She got 2 restraining orders against him over the years to stop his stalking, but she was still terrified of him and worried he might have bugged her devices. Amie's friend said she would never write Gareth's name in text, worried he was watching her conversations. But Amie didn't let fear control her life. And in 2017, Amie began a relationship with famous comedian and Price is Right host, Drew Carey. Drew was actually at this big celebrity party at a producer's house, and even though the room was filled with stars, Drew couldn't take his eyes off of the bartender. It was Amie Harwick, who was working as a bartender at the party.
Obviously really beautiful. Like, she was smart. She had a PhD, master's degree. She cared so much about helping people. That was her life's purpose.
Around this time, she finished her PhD in human sexuality. She soon got licensed as a marriage and family counselor. She started a YouTube channel to give relationship advice.
Amie Harwick, licensed marriage and family therapist, and the video today is on how to survive the breakup after that first 30 days.
She was brought onto news segments as an expert. She wrote a book. She became a really popular therapist in Hollywood. She treated a lot of sex workers and victims of DV.
Patients like model Emily Sears.
I had some residual trauma from the fact that I actually had a stalker myself quite a long time ago, and it was somebody that I had had quite an abusive relationship with. So it's just hard to think that, like, the whole time me sitting across from her, like, you would never think that it would end up happening to her.
So although Amie was on a career and personal high, her stalker, Gareth, hadn't gone away. When Amie and her boyfriend Drew Carey went out, the press would report on it, and after each report a review of her psychology practice was made. Amie was sure it was Gareth, and she worried about it ruining her reputation. Gareth would also email Amie's friends posing as her trying to start fights and sabotage her friendships. On the 2018 Valentine's Day episode of The Price is Right, Drew Carey announced that he and Amie were engaged.
My brand new lovely fiance, Amie.
The relationship didn't last, but the breakup was amicable. No hard feelings. Then, on January 16, 2020, Amie and Gareth crossed paths for the first time in 8 years. Amie was invited to X-Biz Awards, an adult film gala. As Amie was walking the red carpet, she spotted Gareth, who was photographing the event. So this is kind of awkward, but surely Gareth had moved on after all this time, right? Amie tried to stay calm, but when Gareth saw her, he went crazy, screaming, "You ruined my life!" Reading text messages from 8 years ago, crying, falls into the fetal position, wailing, just causing this huge scene in front of hundreds of important people at an event that he was supposed to be working at. At the end of the show, Amie pulled him aside away from everyone but still in view of security and talked to him for over 45 minutes. She just went into therapist mode, telling him he needed to move on with his life, but all in a really nice way. She felt like she had talked him down, but she was shaken up. 2 weeks after the incident, Amie called her parents, telling them what kind of funeral she wanted to have, what kind of headstone, all her last wishes. The day before Valentine's Day, she texted Drew Carey.
I got a text from her and would love to get together with you and talk. And I said, yeah, I would love to do that. I love you.
The night of Valentine's Day 2020 was supposed to be a fun one for Amie. During the day, Amie showed her friend Cleopatra Slough around the Hollywood Hills. They took pictures. Cleopatra took a picture of Amie in a red cardigan she had decided to wear for Valentine's Day. They had breakfast at the Beechwood Cafe, and Amie seemed calm and happy. That night, Amie and her friends went to see Beauty and Burlesque, which her friend Miss Tosh was starring in. Before the show started at 7, Amie and her friends took a bunch of pictures. Around this time, Amie's roommate downstairs heard a loud sound that sounded like glass breaking, but he thought it was just Amie and went back to sleep. Amie and her friend took a picture with Miss Tosh after the show, and she invited Amie to the after-party, but Amie declined and went to have tea with her friends at the Nomad. Around 1 a.m., Amie pulled into her driveway and texted her friend pictures from that night. Moments later, Amie's roommate downstairs woke up to hear Amie screaming upstairs, then bodies hitting the floor and more muffled screams. The roommate yells to try to scare the intruder, but he can't find his phone, so he runs to different houses trying to get help, till finally he sees someone walking by who calls 911. So police arrive and find Amie lying 20 feet below her third-floor balcony. She's alive, but struggling to breathe. She had marks on her neck like she had been strangled. She was rushed to the hospital where she died a few hours later. Inside the house, there was blood on her bedroom door. Her rosary beads that she had been wearing that night were scattered from her TV room, bedroom, all the way to the balcony. Police found a syringe. Amie didn't do drugs. She didn't even drink or smoke, so this was weird. When her friends found out what happened, they all told cops it was Gareth.
I talked to the police. They said, is there someone that you know that could have done this? I was like, oh yeah, it's Gareth.
And what made you think it had to be him?
Because she'd been talking about how, if anything happened, it would be Gareth.
Even Drew Carey thought it must have been him. Police arrested and charged Gareth a few hours later. Prosecutors say there were marks on Amie's hands, bruises on her neck, and blood in her eyes, more evidence of strangulation. Gareth's DNA was found on the French door to the kitchen of the house and under Amie's fingernails. A neighbor's camera caught an intruder entering her house that night. Also, that syringe found in Amie's room was tested and found to be full of nicotine. A similar syringe was found in Gareth's house. In rare murder cases, people have been killed with fatal doses of nicotine. An email Amie wrote to herself was found. In it, she writes, "It terrifies me that he's been obsessed with me for 9 years. He's malicious, highly intelligent, and focused on harming me." Gareth Pursehouse has pled not guilty. His lawyers say there is no good evidence proving he was there that night, and even if he was, he might have just been there to talk to Amie and she might have fallen off the balcony accidentally. But yeah, that is the story of Amie Harwick. Definitely a cautionary one. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, I will see you...